from our 7 Tasmania studios. Your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
And more than 8,500 properties were left without power as wild weather lashed Tasmania. Gale force winds blowing across the state on the final day of autumn.
A lighthouse perched on an exposed coastline isn't the cosiest place to be on a day like today. More sensible Lowhead locals were keen to stay rugged up indoors.
This would be about the strongest winds we would get, yeah. But you go up the lighthouse and of course it's stronger.
Don Heather has manned the Pilot Station Museum for 14 years. This morning was so windy he couldn't even put out his open sign.
On the wall here we have a light buoy which tells people that we are open, but I didn't put that out because it just bashes against the wall.
Gale force winds pummelling the state throughout the day, prompting severe weather warnings.
Several locations recorded wind gusts in excess of 100 kilometres per hour. The strongest wind gust was 152 kilometres per hour at Kunani, Mount Wellington.
The state's emergency services called to more than 60 incidents.
In some areas where the trees come down, they bring down power lines, and that's resulted in some power outages across the state there, and that's what our amazing volunteers have been responding to.
Despite the wild and woolly conditions, Seafood Shack customers were still out in a cosy spot to watch the weather.
We'll tend to get sort of groups come in today and just settle down and not move, which is probably wise once you've made it inside.
While conditions are a little more than breezy, locals say it's lucky that the winds are coming from the prevailing north. If they were coming from the south, it'd be a different story.
We're pretty used to it. This is a pretty standard morning for Lowhead.
Conditions are expected to ease this evening. Annie Green, 7 Tasmania News.
We're staring down the barrel of a quieter than usual off-season. The cost of living crisis is hitting Tasmania's hospitality industry. They're joining the call from a group of Australia's top restaurateurs for government support.
As the economy serves up hit after hit to family budgets, it's no secret Tasmanians are cutting back. At Joseph Cromie Wines, the kitchen's still pumping out meals for hungry customers, but change is being felt.
People are spending less. It's become more of an occasion to go out.
Rising costs confronting patrons are also impacting businesses, forcing several prominent eateries to close down recently.
Increased rents have closed a few businesses, but insurance and energy costs and all those sort of things that continually go up are making it really hard for businesses to survive. And our third largest employment industry is now bracing for a lean few months. I think this winter's got a few things that are worrying us in relation to the cost of living. Starting to look at our forward bookers in accommodation and they're starting to drop off. So there's a real worry in our accommodation industry that that's going to be potentially a quieter winter than previously. The pain's being felt beyond Tasmania. Some of Australia's leading restaurateurs holding crisis talks in Sydney today, launching a new national body to lobby all levels of government.
The industry itself needs support, and it needs to be heard when there are about to be changes or things could change that could affect and help the industry.
Among the topics up for discussion are employment laws, payroll tax, liquor licensing fees, even immigration. If we want to keep the doors open, we want to keep employment numbers up, we need to get some help. Supporting your local venue will also go a long way.
It's not going to be every weekend for everybody. Support your local restaurants and try to keep it in Tassie, and we'll pull through together.
Nick Kelly, 7 Tasmania News.
The number of building approvals across Tasmania fell 16% this month, according to concerning new ABS data. Labor is urging the problem be addressed with the September budget on the horizon.
We need to make sure that our planning system's working, that our training system's working, that we've got good career education in our schools, and that Tasmanians are being supported into good jobs.
Government today reiterating its plan to build thousands more homes, admitting a strong workforce is needed to make that happen. This year's Launceston show won't go ahead. It's been suspended following 2 years of unsustainable financial losses. Organisers say the decision to press pause hasn't been easy, especially given the show's rich 151-year history. The board will now undertake a total restructure of the organisation and reassess the event's current business model. It's hoped the show will return next year. A funding lifeline is being offered to 40,000 small businesses to help them upgrade machinery and expand operations. With rising costs and worker shortages, it's hoped the grants will ease some pressure and help businesses grow.
A sweet treat worth $1 million.
This allows businesses such as Sophie's to put more into technology, to do more to make those sales that we know they want to make.
The grant program offering up to $10,000 to small businesses to help secure a mixed bag of machinery, computers and EFTPOS.
Having just moved here 2 years ago, it's allowed us to expand a fair bit from where we are. We were really struggling to keep up with demand from interstate.
But for renters, the taste isn't so sweet. Still waiting on a bill allowing pets on properties to be passed, which was promised within 100 days of Liberal governance.
If that's to happen, we need to see that legislation in the next sitting of Parliament, and we're as yet unaware of any consultation or any work being done on this at all.
We are the government, we're committed, we're going to do it in the first 100 days and the consulting is happening. If they want to contribute, look forward to hearing from them.
That legislation just one of the goals yet to be ticked off before the government's own deadline, now more than halfway over. Labor was today unconvinced.
We'll be holding them to account. There's a number of bills that they will have to table in the Parliament. They don't have much time to do that.
Ruby Cairns, 7 Tasmania News.
A proposal to introduce separated bike lanes in Hobart CBD has divided a busy Hobart street. Some businesses arguing they will be the ones to bear the brunt of less available parking. Others believe the proposal will help protect cyclists.
Brendan knows firsthand how dangerous riding a bike can be.
I was hit by a car, put in hospital for 2 weeks, completely not my fault, 6 months off work, can't work in the coffee shop.
Claiming more bike lanes along popular Hobart streets would help keep Tasmanians out of harm's way.
I'm quite a confident rider. People that aren't so confident need proper spaces to ride.
And he's not alone.
If this keeps one person out of a wheelchair, then that's a really good thing. And it's something we should be doing.
The Hobart City Council is driving forward with a 2-year trial that would see separated bike lanes introduced on either side of Collins Street, connecting South Hobart to the CBD.
A safe space from the rivulet down. People already ride it, you know, so I think it'd be fantastic.
But it's a bumpy ride for others, with plans to see 59 on-street parking spots removed. One trader labelling the proposal a real kick in the guts for small businesses.
We need car parks because, you know, from my perspective as a small business, people can't come to the shop and buy Corey's in a bicycle and ride home.
A number of those on the council claiming there are more businesses opposed.
I would say it's 95% against and about 5% for.
This is extreme. Hobart City needs to cater for everyone, not just cyclists and able-bodied, fit able-bodied people.
More community engagement will take place in coming weeks. Lily Thompson, 7 Tasmania News.
Works to build a one-stop multi-government services shop are underway. Bill Shorten flying into Sorell for the first sod turning. The $3 million project offering Medicare, Centrelink support and more once completed.
We're going to co-locate it with Service Tasmania, which means that for people living in this area, they can go to one place and get their state and federal issues resolved.
We've got a lot of people moving into the area, and at the moment, to get the full service suite, people have to travel all the way to the Eastern Shore or to Hobart.
It will open by the end of the year. A pedestrian is recovering after being hit by a car in West Launceston this afternoon. Emergency services called to Cambridge Street just after midday. The victim sustained a leg injury and was transported to hospital. Police are investigating what happened. A legend of the Tasmanian dance world is finding herself in the spotlight, notching up 50 years on the job. Her milestone moment, a time for celebration and reflecting on the highlights of teaching generations of future stars.
More used to watching on from the wings, it's Donna Jackson's turn to take centre stage, celebrating 5 decades of teaching tap to Launceston dancers.
I do love it. I love tap.
I love teaching it and I love to see the improvement of all the students.
From humble beginnings in her own living room,
The kids in the neighbourhood wanted to learn how to tap, and so I invited them into my house, and then it just snowballed from there.
she's still keeping a watchful eye over every shuffleball change. Donna's been at the helm of Tapestry Dance Studio since 1974, helping generations of performers put their best foot forward.
I have lots of students that have come back with their children, but their grandchildren.
Guiding young dancers through every count as they take their first steps on stage.
She is very fun and serious sometimes. She's always gonna, whenever you come off, she's always gonna give you a hug. And yeah, she's just like a second mum to me.
Her support, her humour, and her just always being there.
The celebrations don't end here. Around 70 of Donna's dancers will take the stage by storm tomorrow for the studio's annual concert. This year's theme, shining a spotlight on the momentous milestone.
As long as they go on stage and do the best they possibly can.
And after 50 years of trophies, triumphs and memories, Donna is showing no signs of hanging up her tap shoes just yet.
I still love it. While I can give back, I'll continue doing it.
A lifetime dedicated to dance. Victoria Risto, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmanians experiencing homelessness have helped shape the findings of a recent report into the youth justice system. The Commissioner for Children and Young People releasing the first study of many aiming to amplify the voice of young people with lived experience.
The views of those with lived experience contribute to higher quality policy development and generally better outcomes, particularly for children and young people.
Findings expected to impact policies and decision makers to make a difference for younger generations. Tasmania is set to have its own team in the Mari Little Shield National Inclusive Netball Competition for the first time later this year. Athletes have already taken to the court to fine-tune their netball skills.
Shooting their way into nationals, these rising netball stars are gearing up to represent Tasmania on the big stage.
We'll be working towards submitting our first ever team in the Mari Little Shield.
The annual competition giving female athletes with an intellectual disability the chance to showcase their skills at a national level.
Everyone knows the benefits that participation in sport has. It's community building, it builds skills, it builds fitness, and it keeps people together.
Athletes from across the north and south of the state have spent the last 7 weeks preparing, sharpening their skills on the court through match play, while also having the chance to have fun and make friends off court.
Also really trying to encourage teamwork and working together and celebrating everybody's successes together.
It's only a few months out until the players get the chance to showcase their skills on the national stage, with the selected squad headed to Queensland in September for the competition. As the program builds momentum, Netball Tasmania says there's still more room for people to sign up.
That's a really unique and special thing to represent Tasmania or anything, and it's so exciting for these athletes, to have that opportunity in front of them.
Rebecca Gaidaneris at 7 Tasmania News.
One of Tasmania's most decorated female cricketers is leaving for the mainland. All-rounder Sasha Maloney's been a mainstay of the Tigers squad for over a decade, playing a key role for Tassie during their legendary WNCL three-peat final win. It's a bittersweet move for the veteran.
It's never nice having to tell people that you care about and they've played an important role in your career and your life that you're leaving. So yeah, it was tough.
She's heading to Victoria in a few weeks, where she'll join the Melbourne Stars in the WBBL. Rochely and Bracknell are warming up for this year's Long Walk. Players and supporters will make the trek from Brooks High School to the Tigers' home ground on Sunday. Bracknell's Oscar Mansell designed the special mud and birding-inspired Guernsey his team will run out in for his first Aboriginal match.
Yeah, it means a lot being an Aboriginal, obviously. Playing an Aboriginal game, I reckon it means a lot for all of us.
Because that march along the northern suburbs of Launceston is about supporting those in need, minority groups as such.
Playing on the day in their Aboriginal Guernseys is a great opportunity for the North and East Launceston under-17s.
The hype of the whole game and just like being able to be involved in such a big thing is really good for both of our clubs.
Not just a highlight of the NTFA calendar, the day also raises money for charity. After taking care of business against struggling Launceston United last week, the Glenorchy Knights will be heading into round 9 with a pep in their step. The team's focus this week is maintaining possession, hoping to shut down Launceston City's impressive wall of defence.
I think they've got a handful of guys that are very dangerous on the counter-attack, and we need to make sure that, especially when we get closer to goal, that we're looking to capitalise.
It'll be a battle against the elements in tonight's fixtures. Top of the table, Devonport Strikers women will be needing to overcome high winds and rain in Launceston.
I'm thinking about the weather. Yeah, you do need to have a good defensive structure. You need to be switched on, prepared for anything and everything to happen, I think.
It was a narrow win for the Strikers last time the two teams met. Yeah, I don't think I want to be running into the wind out there tonight, Kim.
No, not at all. Thankfully, the rain and wind is expected to ease. Kaya will join us after the break with the latest.
Good evening. Hobart 16 today, Launceston, Devonport and Burnie all 15. 17 the state's top recorded at Friendly Beaches. Flinders Island, St Helens and Marai Island 16. King Island, Smithton, Low Head, Grove and Bushy Park all 15. 14 the top for Strawn. Now a chilly day in Laiwini with just 5 degrees. It was a wet and windy day across the state today. In the 24 hours to 9 a.m, the highest rainfall reported was 80 millimetres at Pine Tree Rivulet, as scattered cloud is seen quickly passing the state. A northwest cloud band sits across northern states and also off to the New South Wales coast and into the Tasman Sea. Tomorrow, a high pressure system moves over central Australia, ridging across Tasmania. West to southwesterly winds increasing up to 30 knots about the south during the early morning, with westerly swells building up to 4.5 metres. A severe weather warning for damaging winds continues for the east of Flinders, the southeast, northeast, the Midlands and parts of the Upper Derwent Valley. There is also a strong wind warning for coastal waters between Stanley to St Helens Point, and also from Wineglass Bay to Low Rocky Point. Now that flood warning for the North Esk River also continues, as does the sheep graziers warning for the southeast. Tomorrow, Hobart, partly cloudy, 13 the top, a shower or two in Medina, 10 there, 10 also in Oatlands with cloudy skies expected. 14 and cloudy also in Launceston and Devonport. Possible snowfall for Laiwini, expecting 5 degrees again after an overnight low of -1. Burnie, cloudy 14, showery across Strawn 13 and 13 also for Marrawar. Grey skies towards the east, St Helens 14, Swansea and Alford both 13. Your forecast now for Sunday, patchy inland, frost and fog. The north likely to drop to an overnight low of 0 degrees, otherwise fine conditions elsewhere. Monday, showers developing about the east and south during the morning with that fog persisting. Tuesday, showers in the east and south remain with possible showers elsewhere. We'll take a look now at what's happening on the mainland tomorrow. Cloudy in Brisbane, 24, also cloudy in Sydney, 19, a lovely 34 degrees in Darwin. Currently this Friday evening, legs 11 all round, Hobart, Launceston and Devonport. And as we welcome winter tomorrow, Kim, the countdown begins to spring with only 93 days, but who's counting?
I love your positivity. Thank you, Kaya. And that is all your news for now. Have a great weekend. See you Monday. Good night.